Nehemiah. So I just want you guys to take a minute and think about your most valuable possession. Just think about that while I read this quote. When you are in the final days of your life, what will you want? Will you hug that college degree in the walnut frame? Will you ask to be carried to the garage so you can sit in your car? Will you find comfort in rereading your financial statement? Of course not. What will matter then will be people. If relationships will matter most then, shouldn't they matter most now? And then as Covey said later on in this chapter, you can be successful with other people if you haven't paid the price of success with yourself.
Our habit that we're going to be talking about today is called the paradigm of interdependence. And there's two aspects that kind of go into this. There's independence, and when you become proactive, when you have correct principles and you've centered your mind on them, when you have become value-driven and you're able to organize and prioritize and you use your schedule correctly, once that is established, then you move into interdependence, which is applying those principles to other people and increasing your productivity, and you're capable of creating much more valuable moments and relationships with other people.
So to help you understand this idea, we're going to be using a metaphor. So as you can see, there's fill in the blanks, kind of. So fill in, emotional bank account is the title of this first little section. And basically everything that you should be doing is kind of like a bank account, your relationships. The amount of trust that's been built up in a relationship. Making deposits means adding to the trust of a relationship. So that means you put more money in your bank account. You all know what a bank account is. You know, you want money in your bank account so you have it saved up, have it ready, you know, just in case you need to make a withdrawal or something like that. The most constant relationships have the most constant and consistent deposits. Use emotions to create positive habits. Deposits build up and create a reserve. A larger reserve means a healthier relationship. So the bigger, you know, the more money you have in your account, the more you're able to spend, the more, you know, effort you put into a relationship, the more that relationship can withstand. This is why when you run into an old friend, you can pick up right where you left off. You know, the old deposits are still there. And the best way to build a reserve is to be intentional with all of your actions with a person.
So the book says there's 6 major deposits, but lists 7, so we just went with 7. The first one is understanding the individual. And in this, it's important to understand the person who you're having a relationship with, and that comes through listening to them. This kind of deposit would involve listening and accepting a person for their personal values and what they believe. So back to the money example, this would be, before you are responsible enough to have a bank account, you need to understand all aspects of the bank account, how it works, what bank you're working with. Do you have a student bank account? Do you have specifically savings and all of those? So you must have the responsibility to understand your entire bank account before you start.
The next one is attending to the little things. Sometimes you don't realize that little things that you do in day-to-day life, little actions, little words that you say might poke at someone the wrong way. Covey talks about, you know, being, you know, a parent-child relationship. You might not realize what you might do to, you know, what you might say that actually hurts somebody. But just take account the little things. For an example, you have to keep track of all your small purchases, like going to Starbucks or something like that, because that can even affect your bank account as a whole. So little things like that really do add up in the long run.
Third is keeping commitments. Promises are major deposits. I'm sure you guys can think of an instance where someone broke a promise for you and you felt like there was a major withdrawal. That's the blank there, is when you break a promise, you're withdrawing from that relationship. So a deposit would involve keeping not only just easy, like, oh yeah, I'll meet you there at this time, that's a promise, but keeping really thoughtful promises and keeping people accountable for things. The example here is you have to pay your bills, all of them.
Our next one is clarifying expectations. Everyone has expectations, and most expectations revolve around roles and goals, those are the fill in the blanks right there. Expectations, they need to be talked about honestly and courageously. You know, you need to, if you're in a relationship with someone, you need to know what you want out of this relationship, or, you know, a friendship or something like that. You need to know what you want out of it. An example for that would be, you have clear savings goals in mind for your bank account. You know, as college students, we want to save up, you know, pay off loans, go do things, travel after college. Like, this is what we need to do, so.
Number 5 then is showing personal integrity. Integrity is the basis for deposits because it builds trust. Integrity includes going beyond just honesty, and the way Covey defines both of those, honesty is defined as conforming words to reality, yet integrity is conforming reality into words. So this involves just being aware of yourself, being comfortable with your person, and being the same person always, making your yes mean yes and your no, no. The same goes along with not only holding yourself to those standards, but holding everyone else up to the same set of principles and not expecting different things from other people. Back to the bank account example, this would be that you have the self-control with a bank account, or else you're going to run out of your savings. So keeping yourself up to the standards you set at the beginning is involved in your self-control and holding on to that account.
The next one's apologizing sincerely when you make a withdrawal. There's a lot of fill in the blanks here, but it takes character and strength to apologize quickly from the heart and not out of pity. It takes character and strength to apologize quickly from the heart and not out of pity. So this is just an example of,
Can you say that again?
yeah, it takes character and strength to apologize quickly from the heart and not out of pity. So, you know, when you're trying to, you hurt someone's feelings, you didn't realize that was going to happen, and you apologize really fast, or you just need to be sincere about your apologies. And Covey talks about how we turn a withdrawal into a deposit. The apology must be sincere, but also be interpreted as sincere. So it's really quick to just, you know, oh, I'm sorry. And I just remember my mom when I was younger being like, stop saying you're sorry. You're not sincere. This doesn't make any sense. And the example we used with the bank account was you have to remember that the money you have not only affects you, but it affects other people. You know, it affects, you know, the other people around you. So.
Also, repeating an apology makes it not sincere as well. So the last one here is number 7, which is the laws of love and laws of life. Loving unconditionally encourages the people around you and the relationships that you're involved in to do the same. Loving conditionally is the primary law of life, according to Covey. Yet we can violate this law by attaching parameters and limits to our love. That would involve saying, oh, I'm only going to love this person this much, or I'm only going to let this person get to know me this far. And the example here is to not be selfish with your money and to remember that you do have enough to give to a charity or to your church and to do your tithings and things like that. So unconditionally loving is, what he says holds all of the other deposits and relationships together. As he says, it is the law of life.
And so this might be a little overwhelming, you know, we're kind of giving you relationship advice here. But the last part Covey talks about is P problems are PC opportunities, which means production problems equal production capability opportunities. So even though, you know, you might have reflected on things, you know, at the beginning we talked about objects and, you know, actually relationships should be what you want the most and should invest in the most. And just think about the little things that we've talked about. And instead of viewing your problems as problems, just viewing them as opportunities, and opportunities for you to change the way you think about relationships and stuff like that. Yeah. Do you have any questions for us?
Did anybody miss any of the fill-ins?
Wonderful.